Hey all, welcome back to the channel, and I don't have any bot in my hands today, though I do have one. In fact, we're going to look at everything to do with the Transformers Wave 3 Power of the Primes combined form of Abominus in the latest GotBot True review. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. I'm your host, Dennis Moulton, aka GotBot. As always, please like, comment, share, and of course subscribe. Check out the stop motions, the how-tos, the reviews, and whatever else you find. Countdowns. There's a lot to explore. Check me out everywhere. Have a look at Machinery of Man, The Everything Factor, and Transformers Collectors NL. And no, I don't have a bot here. All of the guys are waiting to unite into Abominus. And we're going to see them all, a group shot in their robot mode, in their beast monster mode, and of course, what Abominus is like combined. Is he a success or not? Especially with the various custom paint apps that I added to him to try and make him more animation accurate. Once he's together, and we've kind of gone through everything there, I'm also going to show him next to, well, what's normally on these couple of shelves. They're kind of empty because I have several combiners taken down. There's my version of Predaking. There's Bruticus, Menasor, Devastator, Computron, Defensor. You get the idea. Superion. I wanted to see how well he stacks up, and we're going to find that out. In fact, without any further ado, let's head over to the table and take a closer look at this guy. And as promised, here is the entire team. Boy, I think they're a great looking team. Now, 1, 2, 3, 4 of them I did custom work on. The only one that I didn't touch anything on was Blocked because he was absolutely perfect. Now, out of package, as I've said before, all of them are perfect or near perfect homages to their G1 color scheme as far as the toys go. In terms of the animation, that was a little harder to nail down. On Hunger, I did his face and his upper arms in kind of a mix of a gloss gray and a gloss white. I made his eyes red. In terms of Ripper Snapper, I just painted his upper arms around his bicep. That being said, it was a bit of a judgment call because his arms in robot mode are also his arms in the monster mode, and in monster mode his entire arm should be blue, so that was a hard judgment call. Then we have Sinner Twin, who I added yellow to the front of his combiner peg and up on his shoulders, and I made his eyes red. And for Cutthroat, I added kind of a different shade of yellow to his face and around his wrists and his hands. But overall, I love the look of these guys, and if you opted for that toy accurate look, I cannot blame you. But I also said that we would see all of these guys together before we combine them in their monster mode. So here we have them in their monster modes, and all of them are, you know, somewhere between, we'll say, like an 8.75 to like a 9.5. They're all great quality figures. They're fun in their own right, just as little monsters that you can switch to robots. One thing I did want to point out that I don't think I spent enough time on during the review for this guy is there's a hinge here at his shoulder, and sometimes you, like for robot mode, you want it pushed up. And in order to push it back, you don't just push it, you gotta pull out on it and pull it back. And you really need to do that for, it does come back and like kind of softly lock in down right here. You really want to do that for, if I didn't mention it, you really want to do that for the like monster mode here. You probably need to kind of manipulate that hinge for his arm mode, maybe. And the two legs, though they're a little fiddly to get folded up correctly, there's a kind of a, like, yellow tab protrusion on this side and this side. It's what his arms lock into in leg mode actually. And you want to make sure that these two feet kind of go down and slide down between those two pegs, basically. At least that way you know you have everything lined up well. But here we go. Right? Great. Fabulous. Now all we have to do is put them in their combined mode. So let's take a second and get each one of these guys ready. And we have Mr. Blot here. Fold those down. Fold these up. These up. Turn at the waist there. We will fold this back and pick this up. And angle it all the way back. Bring that out. Up for the shoulder and up for the shoulder. Turn the arm around. Even though you're not supposed to in this mode, but it's what I'm doing. Turn that around so that we can peg it in, peg that in, and then we want to make sure that these two circular sections kind of go over the circular tabs there. Basically, that's kind of what's going to lock it in place. Do that. Bring that piece up. Oh, I was hoping I could just rotate that blaster down. That, and I'm actually going to be using one of the Dinobot combiner hands for it because I want the hands to at least be the same color to each other if they can't be the same color to the feet. But in the end, there you go, that's Blot in the arm mode I'm using. And now to do the leg for that same side. Take the tail and fold it up. Take this arm and angle it up if you didn't already. Put the peg on over. Take this arm, angle it up from the monster mode if you didn't already. And peg that arm on. And then fold up that foot. Fold up that foot. By the way, I've also seen some people in the fold that down. I guess that's your call. I don't know. I'm leaving them up like that. And take the monster heads and fold them down. Turn them around. Again, you don't have to. I do because I like them that way. Bring up the combiner port and take a foot to go down there, and there we have a leg. And now I think we will work up the body and do the other leg next, which requires folding up the tail, folding the knee kind of chicken legged, and then folding the leg back, angling down the wings, bringing them forward and pegging them into the shoulders. And now for the most tumultuous part of this entire process, bringing the whole head section forward. And finally, picking up the combiner peg. And now that we have all of that done, we can put another foot down here, and there we go, another leg for Abominus. And here comes another arm. We haven't done this guy in a while. We fold that back, and we fold out the combiner peg. We will undo the legs here and extend them. Do the whole combiner wars thing that we kind of come to know and love over the years, or not love, depending on the type of person you are. bring that up, turn at the waist, bring these down, and we have pegs on the outside there. Turn these around if I'm not mistaken. I believe that peg's in there. I believe that peg's in there. Angle the head so that it kind of rests in right there. We can even angle these back a little bit. We have full range of motion. I think we're good. We can take the other hand and place it in there. There we go. And now for the glue that's going to hold all of this together, our torso being none other than Hunger. So, we close the heads of the dragon thingy and fold them in. We pull this out because that's going to be where his combined head is. Down and down, out, fold in and in. Wrong. We don't fold those in. See, it's been a while, guys. It's been a while. We fold that out. We bring this up and we peg it in. We turn the legs. And we turn the legs. We peg them in. Pull the knees kind of down because there's sort of a double hinge in there. And then using those two pegs, we make sure that the head is in enough, and we peg both of those into the hips. Same thing. Forward into the hips. We fold that up over and peg it in. Fold that up over and peg it. Oop. Peg both of those in. We flip up. Abominus's ears, which you can't see at the moment, but that's okay. We straighten up the legs. We fold up the tail. We rotate the legs around. We bring the fist out and up over. We bring this out and up over. And turn it around. And I'm going to readjust it so of course you can see it properly. And here we have our torso for Abominus. So all we have to do now is attach the arms and the legs. So we take an arm and slot it down. We take the other arm and we slot it down as well. You'll notice his hands are at least the same color. Picking him up, we take one leg. And we slot it in right there, and the other leg. And of course we slotted that in over right there. Let's just rearrange things to see him in all of his glory. And I feel so good having this guy. In terms of being an animation accurate scheme for him, I have to say it's about an 8.5. And I say that because there are still certain allowances and imperfections, especially around the chest area, but understandably so. And of course his hands are not the same color as his feet, and his feet are just odd. Just weird. But nevertheless, it fills the need for me to have an animation accurate Abominus. Fresh in the package, his head is really the same color as the rest of Hunger, with his face being more of a purple color, and his eye visor, instead of being red, was yellow. We already know the other changes that I made to each individual limb. I also painted these sections on the back of the arm so that it looked a little bit more indicative of his two dragon heads coming down to be the thighs. Of course, there's no way for me to work it such that the actual dragon heads work as like his knees, I suppose, but I can buy this. I'm all right with this. The conversion to get here, well, you just sort of saw me do it quickly. It's not hard at all, and it's solid once it's there, and he stands nicely, really. I've seen some people strike some pretty interesting poses with the guy. I'm going to say that that is a solid 9. In terms of articulation, well, we have the head that can go left and right. Can't look up or down, of course. The arms can go all the way around on this side, way out to the side. We already know that the waist of Blot is the bicep swivel. We have the double elbow. We have wrist swivel. On this side, same thing, way out to the side. Again, the waist of Ripper Snapper is the bicep swivel. We have the double elbow and the wrist swivel. Abominus himself does not have a waist swivel. What can you do? In terms of the legs, they can go way back, they can go way forward. Now, granted, you're using the ratchets in Abominus's, or sorry, in Hunger's shoulder, so it's not really going to hold. But they can go out, they can go way out to the side. That holds slightly better. Way out to this side. This shoulder is loose on mine as it is. We do have a swivel. We have 90 degrees at the knee. And because of these buckler feet things, we actually have ankle tilts on the guy. Look, he's not perfect, but he has virtually no kibble on the back, except for the tail of Hunger and the hands right there, but like a really kind of smooth back. I think it's a win. I really do. You can strike some pretty good poses with the guy. Let's just see if I can score one now, or if I'm gonna kind of fail miserably with it. I don't know. Maybe I'll fail miserably with it. We'll see. Like, there you go. Just something like that. I mean, he can hold it no problem. I could actually tilt this ankle more if I wanted to make it even more solid, I suspect. Like something like that even. You know, you get the idea. Yeah, he can do it. No problem. Now, a lot of people know that one of the things that we like to do here on the channel is a series of countdowns. And a lot of people have asked me, hey, are you going to count down 10 combiners? No, not really, because what's the point? And here's why. Because 5 of my 10 picks would be, well, right here. This is my set of the core 5 Decepticon combiners. Bruticus on the end, of course. And a lot of people have asked me, like, are you planning on getting the special edition Blastoff? I don't know. I'm fine with Blastoff as a plain, but if I can score him, probably. Sure, why not? Next to him, of course, is our newly formed Abominus. Then, of course, we have Menasor. You know, he's there. Then we have, standing in for Predaking, Unique Toys Warlord. And a lot of people have asked me, hey, are you getting the Titan class Predaking? I'm not planning on it. Mostly because I don't think Predaking should be the size of the big guy in back, Devastator. As a matter of fact, from my recollection, I feel like Devastator was actually smaller than the other 4 combiners. But I kind of buy Devastator being bigger because he's 6 huge industrial vehicles, as I've said before. I think this at least looks good, and Warlord fits in really nicely with this aesthetic. So it works for me. Now, can I see the argument for wanting a different version of Abominus, one of the third-party ones, or a different version of Bruticus, or, well, any of these combiners? Sure, of course. But if you're in to the Combiner Wars-ish line, I think that this looks great, and I think that Abominus fits in beautifully, beautifully well with the rest of this team. But that would be 5 of the 10 that I would have on a top 10 list. And here are 3 more I would have on that same list. So that means, in a top 10 list of combiners, we currently have a grand total of 8. That's what we currently have out of 10. So who do you put into the other 2 remaining slots? Who knows? I mean, it depends on what you call combiners. If it was me, just based on not combiner characters, but who I have in my collection, I'd probably end up throwing in Reflector and Battle Trap. But they're not really combiners now, are they? So what other characters could you throw in there? I don't know, anything that was like a Power Links combiner, I guess, made up of you know, 2 characters. You could throw in Leo Kaiser. You know, at least he had a box set, I guess. You could throw in Predaking or King Poseidon or whatever you want to call them. The Seacons, there you go. You could throw in Monstructor, aka Dino King. You could throw in Road Caesar. Personally, I think I would definitely throw in Raiden because, come on. He's cooler than Rail Racer, in my humble opinion. And how often do you see trains, let alone trains that can combine? And just to give some, like, Beast Wars love, let's throw in, like, Predicus or Magnaboss, something like that. I don't know. I think the last 2 are fans' choice. You could go really out of left field and choose something like Mighty Robot or Mighty Vehicle. Man, there have been some strange combiners. Maybe one of your favorites was Infernicus. Maybe. Speaking of Infernicus, the last time that we got a version of Abominus, it was that sad little thing to his side from the Transformers Prime line made up of a bunch of Legion class figures. I mean, look at the world of difference. By the way, that Transformers Prime one has the arms where the legs should be, and the legs where the arms should be. Just saying. Just saying. So what about Abominus overall? What do we think of him? Well, the paint overall is fantastic. The conversion overall is pretty easy. The articulation, I would still say it's a solid 8, but those hip ratchets probably could have been stronger. Of course, that would have been at the cost of having shoulders on Hunger that are probably too strong. I think that the score that deserves is about an 8. I think that the overall score that this guy deserves is a good 8.5 to a 9. It's a great figure. Not perfect, but it's a great entry in the, we'll say, Combiner Wars era of these huge gestalts. And for that reason, I can't say he's the best, but I can't say he's the worst. He's middle of the road. And middle of the road is probably all right with me. In fact, middle of the road is better than all right because as a kid, the only part of this guy that I had was the torso. 30 plus years later, I am very happy to say that I have all 5 of those Decepticon combiners and that I have a version of Abominus that I really like and that works very well, at least for me. And here we are once again, and you know, there's something rewarding about finally being able to have those main 5 combiners that I knew from fiction growing up. Yes, the argument could be made for having a Monstructor, or Dino King if you will, for having the Seacons updated and having a kind of a new Piranacon. Something could be said for getting the Combiner Wars Leozak Like, I get that. There are other combiners from different iterations that are worth having, but for what I grew up with, there were 5 Decepticon combiners and 3 Autobot combiners, and I was good with that. Like, Victorion, she's cool, she's fine. I'm not connected to her. I don't really care. All of the made-up ones, if you are somebody who enjoys making up your own combiners, then you win, because we have a lot of options for doing that, and I think that that's fantastic. It's just not for me. If they don't combine, I don't want them to combine. Yes, I'm talking about you, Dinobots. That's why I would never really be able to do kind of a top 10 combiners list, and why I sort of short-handed it there for you. What can I say? 8 would be taken up with the ones that I had on display there. As for the other 2 slots, it's really kind of, you know, fan favorites. Like, I personally picked a like a Leo Kaiser, because he was pretty prominent, and I picked Raiden just because the guy was made up of trains. How often do you see trains? Like, we have a few, but it's not the most common thing in the world. We certainly don't have any combiners made up of them, and I'd love to have a Raiden. That'd be great. Anyway, at the end of the day, I think Abominus is a huge success. They took the engineering of what was probably the best torso of the Combiner Wars line and retooled it to make it into Hunger. They took effective limb molds that stay together well. In the case of Blot, like I've said before, maybe a little too snug. His pegs are a little scary sometimes. They even sort of retooled the Dinobot mold reuses to make them better. They only needed very small tweaks, but it made them better, and the end result is a pretty solid Abominus, especially when you put him next to something like Menasor. Man, that was a train wreck. What a train wreck. Oh, the limbs I guess were all right, but that torso, man. Whew. Anyway, I'm glad to have him. And I'm glad to have him looking more animation accurate. Let me know what you think of him, what you would do with yours, if you're even in for this version of him, because we do have other iterations of Abominus that I can certainly see the argument for. No doubt about it, especially depending on how your collection goes. Mine is a chug-scaled collection for the most part, so these combiners are not only affordable, but fit in nicely. As always, I'm going to thank you for dropping by, for giving me some of your extremely valuable time, and I very much look forward to the next time that you and I get together to have another visit right here inside the videos.